I have not yet reached the conclusion of a typical day. I get ready the kids' supper table as the sun goes down. My 3 kids are still working hard on their schoolwork at 7 o'clock at night. Being bestowed with well-behaved and responsible children is such a blessing. My 3 children are 6, 8, and 10 years old, respectively. The 3 of them are close since their age differences aren't that great. They pay attention to whatever I say to them. Furthermore, they are considerate, polite, and respectful. Their personalities and actions really assist me in parenting children, particularly because I am the only person around to act as their parent. I'm left to care for the kids by myself because my spouse is an engineer who works abroad. But since my kids are polite and obedient, they never give me grief. I enthusiastically survey our table arrangement as I set the final plate down. How exquisite! However, my smile disappears as I turn to face my husband's vacant chair. How I wish he could join us at every supper. However, I can appreciate his traveling abroad for business because he wants to provide us with a promising future. Everyone, dinner is ready. My children respond to my call with enthusiasm and all of their might, yelling, "Yes!" Lastly, I'm grateful, Mommy. My favorite cuisine. As they hastily make their way to the dinner table and settle down with grace, I laugh. We say our prayers and I sit next to them, and then we indulge in their favorite delicacies. Seeing my kids love the food I prepared for them makes my heart extremely glad. Simple pleasures like this make me happy and help to replace the emptiness and loneliness left by my hubby. I miss him so much. Mommy, are we going to call Daddy today? Yes, we will, I say with a smile to my oldest, but only if you finish your food and leave no crumbs. Yes, ma'am, exclaims my second oldest in jest, and he downs his dinner fast, followed by the youngest. With these youngsters, there is never a boring moment. They're all humorous and foolish. After we eat, my daughter Leah assists me in cleaning up the dishes, and the boys tidy the dining room. We all get ready for bed after taking a bath and cleaning. However, it has always been our custom as a family of 4 to have a video call with their father. A few rings later, we are greeted by a kind and smiling face. Hi to all of you. I'm missing everyone. This is now standard procedure for all of us. Every night, we give each other a call to express our love and concern for one another. The kids gather in front of the phone and start talking to him as soon as they hear his voice. Their distance seems to decrease as they talk to him about their day, their new toys, and other things. Upon my time at last, my spouse and I discuss many topics, including his job. How are you today, honey? Work has been so tough, but a man's got to do what he has to do. Trying to lighten his load, I give him a grin. We miss you here, Han. I miss you guys too. Oh, by the way, Elira's birthday is fast approaching. As soon as I say Elira's name, my husband's expression brightens up and the darkness I had noticed before disappears. It is, indeed. She's probably planning to hold a birthday celebration. I persuade him, excitedly, "Go. Han, you have to leave. You ought to be there as you're among her best pals." My husband was able to get employment in the United States because of Elira, who is also my closest friend. She has our eternal gratitude. My closest buddy was the one who initially pushed my spouse to take advantage of this chance. Her idea made sense. We had been best friends since college. I let him go because I'm a wife and mother who wants the best for her family, therefore I accepted everything. We had the good fortune to find my spouse a stable employment at a firm that provides for our everyday necessities. After an hour of talking, my husband chooses to end the call as he has to get ready for work. Be careful today, my love. I cherish you. We love you too. I love you all. My spouse and I are getting farther apart every day, so our daily video chats have become increasingly important to me. We use technology to fill the physical gap in our marriage to a man who works abroad. The largest obstacle we face is the time zone. Sometimes when we speak, it's either my end of the night or his. Though we trust the foundation we formed, there are days when we are unable to communicate. While my spouse is too busy, my best friend Elira frequently updates me on how my husband is doing at work. They both work for the same business. One evening as my kids and I get into our regular video call routine, everything seems to be going according to plan. Everyone, especially the children, is having fun, laughing, and joking. As usual, they even join in on each other's songs. Oh, I wish my hubby was present so we could spend more time together. Despite the laughing, I can see the weariness in his eyes, and it crushes my heart. That knowledge has accompanied me every step of the way while we've been separated. Are you okay, my love? You appear worn out. I can't resist cutting him off from the kids' discourse. With a sigh, my spouse motions for me to get the kids in bed because we need to have a serious talk. Thus I do. After saying their father farewell, the youngsters retire to their rooms. Yeah, work has been demanding lately, but seeing your face always brightens my day. He makes me grin every single time. Well, I'm always available to support you. How was your day? My spouse looked about apprehensively and then back at the TV. It was acceptable, simply the routine thing. Love, is everything okay? You don't seem quite right today. No, it's nothing at all. It's just work-related stress. He continued to look away from me. Soren, we agreed to be truthful with one another. You can tell me if something is upsetting you. Oh, nothing, sweetheart. Instead, may we discuss your day? How are the children doing? With a groan, I changed the subject to the one he had begun. I informed him about the problems and the positive aspects of the house. We were engrossed in our talk as we exchanged updates about both the everyday and remarkable aspects of our life. Still, I had a sneaking suspicion that something was wrong. It appeared as though he was keeping something from me based on his behavior. It was time for us to say our goodbyes to one another. He had to report to work now. My spouse made a thoughtless error as the call was coming to an end. Unknowingly giving me an unvarnished glimpse into his actual nature, he neglected to disconnect the call. I gave it a few seconds, but after that he was still there, reclining in his chair with no awareness that the call was still active. I remained silent and continued on the call, not sure what had come over me. He then made a move and greeted someone. Hey, babe, come. A female voice said, Are you done already? Come on, okay? I'm at last through chatting with that dull woman. As I listened to my spouse, my eyes got bigger. That voice was really recognizable. I was aware of the owner of it. Thank God, I'm so over her obnoxious voice and the way she talks to you all like a baby. She appears elderly. The girl's face then showed up on the screen. Elira, is it, really? She came up to my husband and gave him a gentle kiss. Then she settled onto his lap, neither of them realizing the call was still on. My heart began to slowly break, and I covered my lips in astonishment and horror. The anguish I was experiencing at the time was beyond my comprehension. A beat skipped in my chest when the screen flickered. My dearest friend, His Mistress, was being called by my husband right in front of my eyes. Out of all the betrayals, this was the most heinous. My spouse was someone I trusted. My closest buddy was someone I trusted. And all along, they had arranged for my husband's employment abroad to create the conditions for their affair. I was stunned to see them whispering to each other in private, discussing me behind my back. Yes, I was considering severing my connection with them, staying away from our nation, and concentrating solely on you. Everything that counts to me is you. However, what do you suppose dull Susan would do? Elra answered, I know she won't let us do that. She ought to understand her station, therefore. She has to understand by now that she is interchangeable. I simply cannot stand to act as though I adore her. The poisonous words ripped right through me. The knowledge that the two individuals I trusted the most were betraying me was heartbreaking. They leaned in and kissed again, not realizing that I was still there and seeing their deception, which broke my heart even more. They touched each other intensely in addition to kissing. I felt so helpless and suppressed my rage and tears, but I wanted proof right then and there. evidence of their betrayal. I silently grabbed my phone and pressed record. Every terrible detail was caught on film, protecting the facts that would eventually expose their deceit. My face was wet with tears as I documented their outrageous actions. I was unable to comprehend the extent of their deceit. My dearest friend and spouse had an unfathomable amount of hate for me. But in the midst of my suffering, I came up with a strategy, a scheme to make their affair public. I would exact my retribution. When my room's door opened, I noticed my oldest daughter narrowing her eyes. When I checked the time, it was close to midnight. She can't sleep without me at her side. Therefore, she must have been searching for me. She looked away from the laptop, so I closed it right away. I didn't want my kids to see their father's deceitful behavior. I had to sow the seeds of my retaliation now. Days stretched into nights as I planned everything out. For him, everything appeared normal, but little did he realize that I was breaking him behind my laughs and smiles. He couldn't win that easily, in my opinion. It was really unjust. The following time we made a video chat. Despite his insistence that it be between the two of us, I allowed the kids to participate. I wanted the kids to unintentionally become witnesses to the drama that was about to happen, even though I knew he was waiting for the right opportunity to break up with me. Though I didn't want children to believe their father was a nasty man, I did want them to understand that they shouldn't trust him. I noticed the look of boredom on his face as I purposefully extended our chat. It was due to him. I desired for him to be in pain. I made the decision to inform our entire family about his wrongdoings the next day. I had sent out a group video conference invitation to everyone. That was the plan, and my spouse was unaware of what was about to happen. I intended to reveal his falsehoods to him and take him by surprise. I got the proof ready while I waited. My spouse's face appeared on the screen as soon as he answered the phone. They had no idea the emotional roller coaster that was in store for them. My husband's eyes widened in horror as soon as he discovered we weren't the only ones on the call. He turned away from the camera and spoke softly to a person standing behind him. To break the stillness, I welcomed each person. "Hi to all of you. Greetings and welcome to our family reunion," I exclaimed. While some of our family members cheered enthusiastically, others were perplexed. "Well, hello to all of you." He stumbled. "I didn't realize we were having a family gathering." "They're not aware either, Soren," I remarked icily. "But everyone is here to know the truth." "Susan, what's happening on? You seem quite serious," he inquired, perplexed. "Well, see it for yourself." I took a deep breath and hit play on the video that had been captured. Their treachery reverberated through the speakers as their voices filled the room. Our family members' expressions of shock and astonishment reflected the grief I had experienced. At last, the unvarnished and honest truth was revealed. The room erupted in gasps and astonished looks as everyone turned to look at the television. They were staring at my spouse, who was clearly surprised. His face was a picture of exasperation, embarrassment, and remorse, and he combed his hair. He stumbled. "My love, I don't know what to say." I spoke to each person with great poise. "Don't refer to me like that. You wouldn't have done this if you really loved me and our kids. If you could do this to Susan and our entire family, who is supposed to be a loyal husband and a loving son-in-law, how could you betray us like this?" My father yelled, his voice brimming with rage. He was so angry that he was on the verge of hitting his computer out of fury, but my mother consoled him right away. My parents, who were obviously in shock, comforted one another. I was filled with a mixture of anguish, fury, and betrayal as I saw everyone's despair run down my face. It was excruciatingly painful. With a shaky voice, I added, "I wanted you all to witness this because I couldn't bear the burden of this secret alone. I deserve better, and so does our family." My spouse began to cry, his voice faltering. I sincerely apologize for the dreadful error I made. Though I don't want for pardon, I do want everyone to know how sorry I am. I said icily, "Sorry is not enough, Soren. You've betrayed our confidence in you. We didn't believe you were capable of betraying us like this. Unable to articulate their thoughts, my parents could only nod in accord with the family's feelings. There was a palpable stillness in the room, a hindrance by disappointment. "I'm going to move on with my life and file for divorce," I said in a firm voice. "This will not define who I am. My family's support will help me recover and find happiness once more." Despite their sadness, our family members continued to support me and my kids without fail. "Susan, you have our support. We'll support you during this trying period. You are worthy of all the love and joy in the world. No matter what, we'll be there for you," they reassured me. With the help of my family, I was able to wipe away my tears and realize that I wasn't traveling alone. Even though I seemed powerful and in control now, it still ached. Living proof that my spouse never loved or appreciated me was the weight of my suffering and the evidence I had with me. However, divorcing was the only course of action that might start to mend the emotional scars I had sustained. Tears and rage combined with strong emotions as our once unbreakable relationship collapsed to rubble. Following that devastating discovery, my family and friends came together to support me and my kids. They extended love, encouragement, and support. I started the process of reassembling my broken life, finding a strength I had never realized existed inside me. Despite the breach of trust, I was resolved to mend and pursue happiness according to my own standards. I told my kids everything, and I was really fortunate to have intelligent children who fully comprehended everything. Eventually, my husband came home and personally explained everything to them. I seized the chance to expedite the court case. After the court granted our divorce, I was no longer legally connected to him. I also brought a lawsuit against him and my closest buddy, so they would both be held accountable for their transgressions. My closest buddy had to deal with the fallout from her deeds. All that was left was the sour taste of betrayal as our once close friendship crumbled. Previously so entwined, our social circle now judged her. It was clear from their looks that they disapproved. I regained my self-confidence through it all. I found my resilience and worth again. Even though it took a while for me to heal, I refused to let their treachery define who I was. I welcomed my loved ones' assistance. I was reminded that I wasn't alone by their constant presence. We set out on a path of self-awareness and empowerment together. I seized fresh chances and rekindled interests that had been buried for a long time due to my broken marriage. I took comfort in forgiveness's power during my rebuilding process, not for their benefit but for mine. Continuing to harbor animosity and bitterness simply made me feel heavier. Thus, I consciously decided to let go of the hurt and break free from the bonds that held me back. My attention was directed toward creating a secure environment for my kids. The wounds gradually healed over time, leaving scars that served as a constant reminder of my fortitude and tenacity. The promise of a better future shone brighter than the shadow of dishonesty that had before obscured the way. I am a living example of the strength that each and every one of us possesses today. Although the screens deceived me, they also freed me, releasing me from a poisonous relationship and opening the door to a future of true love and joy. And my biggest retaliation is this new way of thinking.